Good morning.
Good morning.
It's so wonderful to be here back home. So happy Mother's Day to everyone, and that includes all the males as well, because you know you are also a mother of ideas, a mother of creativity, a mother of life as you unfold it. So happy Mother's Day. Well, that song really got to me. In fact, my youngest daughter called me and she says, "I'm a miss mother. I'm a very bad daughter. I didn't send you anything." And I said, "But I don't need anything. We're trying to downsize. Please don't." And then she called me this morning and she says, "As soon as you get home, look at your email. I've written you a letter."
Oh, that's better.
So that's even more wonderful. So, how did Mother's Day get started? You've probably all heard the story. Anna Jarvis, in 1905, her mother passed away, and she wanted to honor her mother, just like we feel. We want to honor our mothers. And she decided that there should be a special day. So she campaigned, she programmed, she was an activist and did all sorts of things to try and create a Mother's Day. Well, she got a couple of churches to do a little bit on it, but finally in 1900, hang on there. In 1914, she finally got President Woodrow Wilson to do a proclamation of making the second Sunday in May a National Mother's Day. Now this was great. Anna was so happy until about 1920 she finally got so disgusted because what they did with Mother's Day, it was not going to church and honoring your mother and the mother of all mothers. It had become a very commercial day. To this day, second or third to Christmas and Easter, Mother's Day is the largest sale of greeting cards, of flowers, and every restaurant is full. Like your song, you can give the moon or the sun or something wonderful like that. But you know what, I think it's a wonderful idea because, you know, we have all these words that we want to say to our mothers, and yet we don't know how to say them. And so Hallmark does a grand job. Flowers, you know, are so beautiful. They're God's gift. And they say a lot, just in a bouquet of flowers. So I don't see anything wrong with this commercialism, but Anna Jarvis did, to the point that she started boycotting all the stores. She would stand out in front of the Hallmark factory, and she got herself arrested. She was quite an activist, and she was determined that it was going to stay what she wanted it to be. However, that did not happen. And I'm grateful. I actually am very grateful that it is the holiday that it is, that we get to enjoy celebrating our mothers. My mother was very special to me, and my sisters and all our families would get together and go to Mother's and have a marvelous day. Of course, Mother had to do the cooking because she loved it, but it was always wonderful. So Mother's Day was always very special. My mother was very special to me, and we used to, from standing here at this podium, tell lots of stories about Mother and her squirrels and different things that went on in our family when she was living. And the other thing that I thought was interesting that they incorporated into Mother's Day that people are supposed to do is if your mother is living, you're supposed to wear a red carnation to church. And if she has passed, you're supposed to wear a white one. And I know in the past, many years ago, we used to give out carnations on Mother's Day. But I thought that was an interesting tradition to let people know the case of your mother. I haven't done this in a long time. So it's like, what am I doing? Ernest Holmes said it so beautifully this morning in Science of Mind. For, in a certain sense, we are all mothers, giving birth to new thought, new ideas, and new events. And why should we doubt that the same creative power which prepares the mother to give birth to her baby will not also prepare us, physically and mentally, to give birth to new experiences? And I think that that is a wonderful quote to keep in mind, that we are constantly giving birth to creative ideas, giving birth to pushing the edge of our world, always evolving. And so the idea of Mother's Day had actually been celebrated probably all over the world in many different ways. There was many different celebrations for women and even for mothers. And to this day, I was looking in this chart that almost every country celebrates one or more days that they celebrate mothers or women. And when we stop and think about that there are also so many things that degrade women in our country yet today. The wages are still not equal, and many different things that are going on in the world that are not to the betterment of women. And so Eleanor Roosevelt at one time took Mother's Day and tried to make a proclamation or a national thing out of looking at what was going on with women, the battered women, and some of the horrible things that still go on in our world that are happening to women in so many of the third world countries where they are still put down. And so that's another thought for us to think about on Mother's Day. Are we truly celebrating the woman and helping with those causes? I've just recently joined a group called the Empowerment of Women, and they are a group of women in Julian that are coming together and raising money with different fundraisers to help the refugee women coming in to be able to integrate into our country, and many of them leave their homes without anything. We spent last Thanksgiving with a young lady and her parents from Iraq,
Yeah.
that our daughter had met when she was serving in Iraq, and they had just come to this country. They were well educated, they were professors in their own country, and had to leave with just a suitcase of very few of their possessions and start all over in a new country with a new language. And we had a wonderful time Thanksgiving, even though we couldn't speak to each other. The daughter was interpreting back and forth, but just delightful people. And that's, we find all over the world as we travel, people are wonderful. And yet, there seems to be this separation. And that was the thing that Ernest Holmes so religiously taught us, is that we're all one. That love is the most important thing there is. And that's what we celebrate today, the love of mothers, the love of self, and the love of each other. So those are just some of my thoughts of what's going on. I read a little cute chicken soup story this morning. That used to be my MO, always from the pulpit, was tell a chicken soup story. So I thought I had to do that again today. And all my chicken soup books are packed. We're moving. So I rushed in and hardly said hello to Curtis and grabbed the mother's chicken soup book and went out to the car so I could share a chicken soup story. And it's about a little girl, well, it's about a mother. And when her little girl was born, she recognized how, even though she was teaching her daughter about life, her daughter was teaching her. From the few months old when she would look up at the sky in wonder. And so mother started looking up and looking at the leaves as they moved in the light and rustled in the sounds. And then when her little daughter got a little bit older, she was looking at the ground all the time. And so Mama started looking at the ground and noticing the patterns in the ground, the leaves or the bugs. They told me when I was a child I used to lay outside on the ground and play with the bugs. And so as her daughter was getting a little bit older and wanting to help, she came rushing into the kitchen. Mama, can I help? Can I help? Can I help? And Mama just takes her hand and shows her a few things. And then she said, Mama, you know, if you were a little girl, we'd be bestest friends. Oh. And my mama was my bestest friend. And I miss her terribly. But we can find that mother figure in many of our other women friends. And that's what this women's empowerment group is about, is finding each other, enjoying each other's company, as well as doing something wonderful and good. So back to this idea of celebrating this day and knowing that even though Anna didn't want it to be commercial, think about all the people that get to work in the card manufacturing places and in the flower shops and in the fields that grow all the flowers, the beautiful fields down in Carlsbad that we get to go and visit and enjoy. Isn't it wonderful? It's all about circulation money, about circulating time, about circulating the goodness of God. Ernest Holmes always said to each minister, he had written a thing that was spoken at a Silmar one year, but it was written up for every minister to read. And it was about the reason that people come to church is to find out if anyone knows anything about God. And he said it is your job to make sure that they feel the presence of God, that they feel the presence of love in this very room, and take it with them when they leave. So I hope that I have spoken a few words that bring you that presence of God, that presence of love, that presence of the mother love. And now I'm going to turn this mic over to Reverend Les and let him talk to you.
I'll use this microphone because it's hooked to me. This is such a special day. It's special for a lot of reasons, but I was looking at the calendar this morning, and this day is 51015. And if you turn it around and look at it backwards, it's 510. And all this week is going to be like that. It won't happen again till, well, I guess in 16 it'll happen or sometime. But it's an amazing situation that we can look at ideas and see that creativity exists everywhere. One of the other things that occurred to me, that because we've done a lot of counseling, a number of people have challenges with this day. Not just the lady who invented Mother's Day, but people have challenges with their mother. And I'm saying, okay, what is it that we can do that will take the idea of challenge, be creative about it, and turn it into something that will be very, very valuable? Well, Ernest Holmes did that for us. But a number of other people simplified some situations so that we can actually be in treatment or be in prayer or be prayerful in an easier way. I come from a fairly large family, and I used to be really the black sheep in the family. And I thought, well, that's really, really silly, because I shouldn't be that. So I started a rumor. I didn't really tell people, but I started the rumor and started feeling and sensing that Mother always liked me best. And in 2 years, we went to a family reunion in Oklahoma, and a sister-in-law of mine said to me, we were talking about things and activities at the house and who got away with stuff and who hadn't cleaned their plate before they could leave the table, and she said, well, you know your mother always liked you best. So, practice number 1, what you think about comes about. Ask and it will be given. And it's true that there's a codicil to that. You have to believe it yourself. If you believe and you ask, it is delivered. We have a couple of other processes. One I want to share with you. HeartMath developed a heart lock-in that's in 2 or 3 short minutes. You can create the same personal energy that you have in a half-hour meditation, uninterrupted, with great silence and personal love. And I'd like to share that with you because it is so simple and it works. And it puts you into a place, especially if you're challenged with something. I get challenged quite a bit. I assume that I'm not too terribly different, that things happen and they're challenging, even if it's the driver cutting you off on the freeway or things of that nature. Telephone calls that are interruptions, trying to sell you a new vanity. And I don't have any vanity, so I don't need that. Heart lock-in is just simple, where you close your outer eyes and think of something that is really lovable to you, something that you love very much. It could be your mother. It could be your cat. It could be not even a persona. It could be the image of a sunset or a rainy day when life is so invigorating. So close your eyes and think of something that really, really is appreciated. And I want you to feel that image in your heart space. So you place that image in your heart space, and then as you breathe in through your heart and feel the love that you're breathing in, invigorating that image of love and appreciation. And as you breathe out, let it radiate out around you. You're creating a zero space around you where only God exists. Only you as God, you and God exist. And let your heart just feel that. And if ideas come to your mind that are in contrast to your appreciation, just thank them and let them be. And as you thank them and let them be, they dissolve before your very eyes, your third eye as it were. And in 2 or 3 short more breaths, just release all of that. And know that you've cleared your heart space. And you've made your heart space 8, 10, 12 feet bigger. So everything in your environment around you is filled with this love, this appreciation. And then you'll know Mother loved you best. So that would be another way. way. That's a couple of ways. We studied Dr. Hugh Lynn's Ho'oponopono presentation for a while here. And what I've noticed is that that's another quick way to move from aggravation, agitation, troublesome feelings to a warm, heartfelt, loving space. And the idea is the same as treatment, the same as what I know for sure, what I believe for sure, what I request, I ask and it's given. In the same way. The 4 statements of Ho'opono are, I love you. When an idea or a thought occurs to me that's not in sync with where I want to be, what I want to do, where I want to go, if it's agitating me, if I love that thought and release it to the divinity, release it to God, something miraculous happens. It's replaced, and it's replaced with that loving thought that I created, and it's replaced with a creative thought. So the 4 phrases are, I love you. I'm sorry I didn't recognize that this was a divine statement, a divine idea. Please forgive me for hanging on to something in my subconscious since I was 8. But it's please forgive me. And thirdly, thank you for cleaning and releasing this. I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you. And in that release, energy is replaced, because energy doesn't dissolve, it's replaced with positive, creative inspiration. And the inspiration lifts us up. And then, of course, the 4th way that I was thinking about was treatment. Ernest Holmes said, treat about it. Wayne Dyer says, meditate. Or no, that was Deepak Chopra telling Wayne Dyer to meditate whenever he had a challenge. Meditate. So the point of treatment is that we can recognize that the divine nature of spirit, God, is everywhere present. No place. So not just here in this beloved sanctuary is God, but God's in the sunset, God's in the trees, God's in the beauty of the sky, God's in the rain, God's in the dry and the wind, every place. The trees that function in a very special way inhale the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, gives off oxygen that we breathe in. So there's a reciprocating agreement with everything in life. There's a reciprocating agreement with God. So we recognize the divine nature of God, Spirit, being everywhere. It's right here, wherever we are, in our heart. So as we remember, our heart space is filled with love, and radiating out that love, it's also bringing in that love. And so in treatment, while we're knowing that the 2 are really one, God is, I am, there is no separation between that. There's only one of us. That one of us is God. That one of us is perfect. That one of us is my life right now. So as we do treatment, we're also setting aside those conditions, like Dale Buck wrote a book that I just love the title of, If It's Not One Thing, It's Your Mother. And so as we have those kind of negative thoughts, maybe your father, maybe the car that you were having a flat tire with, whatever that is, if you're willing to bring that into the divine nature of spirit, the goodness of God, the solutions within, because it's the inspiration of who you are. So let's do that treatment. Let's just recognize that right here and right now, knowing that the divine nature of spirit is everywhere. It's in the beauty of life. It is the love energy of life everywhere present. It's within me. It's within everyone. no exceptions, no one's left out. As we take a deep breath together and recognize that our heart is filled with love and joy for our mother and every mother ever and every idea of mother, that's perfection of God. And we release anything that's unlike that perfection. As we release anything unlike that perfection, we let it be turned into a new inspiration about the quality of life of who we are today. I'm grateful for this. I am oh so thankful. And simply release this word, knowing it's so, by saying, and so it is.